Welcome to Shadow Whispers, your gateway to the darker side of history and the paranormal. Today, we take you on a chilling journey through the top 10 haunted cemeteries in New Zealand, where history and the supernatural collide. From ghostly apparitions to mysterious sounds that defy explanation, these cemeteries hold some of the most terrifying and unexplained phenomena ever reported. But before we dive into these tales of haunted grounds and restless spirits, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our amazing subscribers for your support. You are the reason we're able to bring these spine-chilling stories to life. If you're new here or haven't yet joined our community, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our next dive into the world of the eerie and unknown. Trust me, you won't want to miss the mysteries we'll uncover together. Now, get ready to explore the cemeteries where history refuses to rest. Let's begin. 10. Lawrence Cemetery, Lawrence. Lawrence Cemetery, located in the small town of Lawrence in Otago, is one of the most historic cemeteries in New Zealand. The town itself has roots in the gold rush era, and many of those buried in the cemetery were miners who lived and died during that time. The cemetery is known for its quiet, peaceful atmosphere, but locals have long told stories of ghostly miners who haunt the area. Some visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures in old-fashioned mining clothes wandering the grounds, particularly near the older graves. One particularly chilling tale involves a local resident who, while walking through the cemetery one evening, heard the sound of pickaxes and shovels, as though miners were still digging long after their deaths. Others have seen strange mists forming over certain graves, which dissipate as quickly as they appear. Many visitors report feeling an overwhelming sense of unease, particularly near the graves of those who died in mining accidents. There are also frequent sightings of lights flickering among the trees at night, and some people have even claimed to hear ghostly voices calling out from the graves. 9. Makara Cemetery, Wellington. Makara Cemetery, located just outside Wellington, has been in use since the 1960s and is still active today. It is known for its beautiful views of the surrounding countryside, but despite its relatively modern establishment, the cemetery has gained a reputation for ghostly activity. Visitors have reported numerous strange occurrences at Makara Cemetery, including sudden drops in temperature and the eerie sensation of being watched. There have also been several sightings of shadowy figures walking among the gravestones, particularly at dusk or dawn. One notable incident involved a visitor who claimed to have seen a figure standing at a distance, only to have it suddenly vanish as they approached. Another common report is hearing whispers carried by the wind, even when the cemetery is completely empty. Makara Cemetery has also been the subject of several paranormal investigations, during which strange lights and inexplicable sounds were recorded. These events have added to the cemetery's reputation as one of the eeriest places in the region. 8. Napier Cemetery, Napier. Perched on a hill overlooking the city, Napier Cemetery dates back to 1855. It's known for its picturesque views but also for its tragic stories, especially those related to the 1931 Hawke's Bay earthquake victims who are buried there. Visitors often report an eerie stillness in the cemetery, with frequent sightings of apparitions. Some have seen the ghost of a woman weeping over a grave, believed to be mourning the loss of a loved one. Others have reported seeing figures walking along the hilltop, only to disappear into the mist. One visitor recounted the story of hearing the sound of footsteps on the gravel path behind them, but no one was there. Others have experienced their electronic devices malfunctioning near certain graves, with batteries inexplicably draining and strange interference in recordings. The cemetery is also known for its ghostly lights, with some people claiming to have seen orbs of light floating above the graves late at night. The presence of unexplained lights has led many to believe that the spirits of those buried in Napier Cemetery still linger. Visitors have also reported hearing strange voices or cries in the night, particularly near the graves of those who perished in the 1931 Hawke's Bay earthquake. Some also mention feeling an overwhelming sadness or being watched, especially in the early hours of the morning when the fog rolls over the hillside. 7. Barbados Street Cemetery, Christchurch. Barbados Street Cemetery is the oldest cemetery in Christchurch, founded in 1851. It's the resting place of many early settlers, including important political and community leaders. Despite its age, Barbados Street Cemetery is known for its active ghostly phenomena. Visitors often hear strange noises, like footsteps crunching on the gravel path, and feel as though they are being followed by an unseen presence. The spirit of a man who died tragically in a fire is said to haunt the area, with reports of his ghost appearing in the cemetery, his face illuminated by an eerie light. There are frequent reports of people seeing a woman in black mourning clothes sitting by a grave, only to have her disappear when approached. Some visitors have also reported hearing faint whispers and seeing shadows darting between the graves. A paranormal investigator captured a photograph of an inexplicable mist hovering over a group of graves, which appeared to form the shape of a face when examined closely. Visitors at night often report feeling a sudden, overwhelming sadness in certain sections of the cemetery. 6. Southern Cemetery, Dunedin. Established in 1858, Southern Cemetery is one of Dunedin's oldest cemeteries. It holds the remains of early settlers and notable figures, as well as a section dedicated to Chinese immigrants. Visitors to the Southern Cemetery have reported hearing whispers and footsteps when no one else is around. There are tales of a ghostly figure, believed to be the spirit of an early settler, wandering the older sections of the cemetery, particularly near the gravestones of those who died under tragic circumstances. One of the most famous stories involves the apparition of a man who appears near a specific grave late at night. Visitors have also reported strange, cold gusts of wind and the sensation of being watched. The cemetery's Chinese section is said to be especially haunted, with many reports of odd lights and sudden chills. People have also claimed to hear traditional Chinese funeral music playing faintly in the distance, even though no one is there. 5. Hillsboro Cemetery, Auckland. Located in southern Auckland, Hillsboro Cemetery dates back to the early 1900s. It is known for its picturesque views and historic graves, but it also has a dark reputation for ghostly sightings. Hillsboro Cemetery has become known for frequent apparitions. Many people have reported seeing a woman in Victorian attire walking silently through the cemetery, vanishing when they get too close. Some visitors have also felt sudden drops in temperature and an unexplained sense of fear. A chilling encounter involved a man who visited his father's grave and felt a sudden, overpowering presence that caused him to leave immediately. There have also been reports of gravestones that seem to shift or tilt on their own, and odd, echoing voices heard among the trees. Some people claim to have seen faces in the mist that rolls over the cemetery at night, and others speak of the eerie, unsettling silence that sometimes descends on the cemetery, broken only by inexplicable whispers. 4. ONeals Point Cemetery, Auckland. Established in the early 20th century, ONeals Point Cemetery is located in North Shore, Auckland. It houses a mix of military and civilian graves and is known for its tranquil yet eerie atmosphere. ONeals Point Cemetery has a reputation for strange occurrences, especially after dusk. Visitors have reported feeling an unseen presence and hearing footsteps behind them, despite being alone. Several sightings of ghostly figures, often described as glowing or semi-transparent, have been reported wandering among the gravestones. One notable encounter involved a group of teenagers who visited the cemetery at night and reported seeing a tall figure standing by a grave. When they approached, the figure disappeared into thin air, leaving behind only a strange chill in the air. Paranormal investigators have detected unusual cold spots and have captured unexplained voices on recording devices, including a chilling voice that says, "Get out." Some say they've seen lights flickering around the graves late at night, adding to the mysterious atmosphere. 3. Symonds Street Cemetery, Auckland. Symonds Street Cemetery is one of Auckland's oldest cemeteries, established in 1842. It was divided into Anglican, Catholic, Jewish, and public sections. Many early settlers, victims of epidemics, and soldiers from various wars are buried here. Over the years, numerous reports of ghostly sightings have emerged from Symonds Street Cemetery. The spirits of people buried in mass graves during outbreaks are said to haunt the area, particularly around the Catholic section. The atmosphere is heavy with stories of apparitions, particularly a woman dressed in black, wandering the paths at night. Several people have seen a man in old military uniform standing by a gravestone, only to have him vanish when they approach. There are also accounts of strange smells, like decaying flowers, and the sound of sobbing echoing through the trees. A famous story tells of a visitor who took a photo of a grave and later discovered an apparition in the background that wasn't visible at the time. Locals often avoid the cemetery after dark, citing unexplained cold chills and feelings of unease as they walk by. 2. Kori Cemetery, Wellington. Established in 1891, Kori Cemetery is one of New Zealand's oldest and largest cemeteries, covering around 100 acres. It is the burial site for many notable figures, including politicians and victims of the 1918 flu epidemic. Kori is notorious for being one of the most haunted locations in Wellington. People walking through its Anglican section have reported strange occurrences, including phantom footsteps and cold spots. There are tales of a ghostly woman in white who has been seen near the older gravestones, silently watching visitors before fading away. A common story involves visitors seeing a man dressed in old-fashioned clothing, often mistaken for a groundskeeper, only to vanish before their eyes. One visitor, who stayed late to photograph the cemetery, reported feeling someone breathing down his neck and hearing faint whispers, despite being alone. Paranormal investigators have reported unusual electromagnetic readings in certain parts of the cemetery, particularly around the graves of children. There are also stories of strange lights moving among the gravestones at night, described as floating orbs that disappear when approached. 1. Waikumete Cemetery, Auckland. Waikumete Cemetery, opened in 1886, is the largest cemetery in New Zealand, with over 70,000 burials. Originally a public health measure to manage an increasing population, it became the final resting place for many prominent individuals, soldiers, and even victims of the 1918 influenza pandemic. Visitors frequently report feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness and cold while exploring certain sections. The ghost of a young girl is said to wander through the cemetery, particularly near the graves of children. There are also claims of shadowy figures that appear and disappear at night. A particularly mysterious occurrence is the sight of gravestones appearing to glow faintly after sunset, and some have heard whispered voices when no one else is around. One eerie story tells of a jogger who, while running through the cemetery, encountered a translucent figure who vanished in front of his eyes. Some claim they've heard crying near the war memorial section, possibly spirits of soldiers who died in battle. Nighttime visits often leave people with an unsettling feeling of being watched.